Hey, welcome back to the channel, my fellow weather junkies. I'm your host, Greg Majeski, your personal weatherman here, bringing you the weather without all that social media hype here on your Monday, January 6th, 2025. Let's take a look at what we're tracking here for today. So we're expecting a very frigid week across a big part of the country. We'll take a look at the current readings out there as we're watching an exiting winter storm here across the East Coast. We'll be looking at another potential winter storm coming into areas that don't normally see snow. We're talking about areas of the deep south. We'll take a look at the latest forecast on that for later in the week. And then we'll take a look at the latest from the Climate Prediction Center to see if this cold January is going to be sticking around or not. I'll give you the latest on that as well. Now, first, before we get going, I do want to thank the new subscribers here to the channel. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please do so at this time. It'll be a pleasure and honor to have you on board to support our channel. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. Again, we got the snows here across areas from New York down to DC coming down in pretty good buckets there. As we got the rains, pretty good steady rains here across the deep south, across Georgia and the Carolinas. Just bitterly cold here in the middle of the country. And the West Coast, not looking bad. Getting a bit of a break right now. Storm systems still well offshore, but finally getting a little bit of break after a pretty onslaught of storm systems out there over the last 6 weeks or so. So let's take a look at what's going on with our current watches and warnings. Look at all this pink in here. That's winter storm warnings going from areas near Delaware all the way back into Illinois. Very breezy, windy conditions. In fact, temperatures are going to be plummeting here across Georgia for today and fairly quiet out toward the West Coast. All right, let's look at that current surface map. Below normal temperatures plunging all the way down into the deep south. Got a minus 13 there. Omaha looking at 5 degrees right now. Memphis at 25. And this cold air is going to be plunging right into the deep south. Pretty good snow totals here across Pennsylvania and into Maryland. A lot of the government offices have shut down in D.C. because of the winter storm. Now, I was looking at some of this heavier rain. Looks like it's starting to clear metro Atlanta here for the moment. That's good, but I'm sure with all the ponding on the roadways, going to make rush hour a little bit of a mess there, but the rains will continue to push off into the Carolinas and down into the southern portion of the state as well. And it'll be that location as we take a look at the list from the Storms Prediction Center where we might see just a marginal risk for severe weather. The storm was pretty active yesterday, set up a lot of severe weather there back over toward Mississippi. But things have settled down here. So again, just a marginal risk here across portions of Florida and South Georgia for today. But once that goes by, that is it. Not expecting any thunderstorm development here over the next couple of days as this change in weather pattern really not going to be very conducive for any severe weather. In fact, not expecting any heavy rainfall amounts either. No flooding potential here over the next 3 days as well. The big news story is going to be the fact that we just got this bitterly cold air. And this update here from the hazards folks will be updated later today. But obviously, we're looking at hazard cold air coming across a big part of the country. With that nice snowpack down there and this Arctic air coming in there, it's going to allow the temperatures to really plummet into that zone. So that's going to be an area of concern. And then obviously here across the deep south, looking at freezing temperatures all the way to the Gulf Coast with this Arctic outbreak. And of course, they're not used to that kind of weather in that part of the country. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the latest here as far as our forecast model is concerned. So we're going to first pull up the hazards outlook, I mean the high resolution model. We're coming off the hazards. We're going to go to the higher resolution model data. So we're going to say goodbye to this one storm system here on the East Coast. We're saying goodbye to this system getting on here. We got another little system out here in the west here, and then we're going to watch a new system form down here. That'll be later in the forecast period beyond what I'm going to show you right now. But I just want to give you an idea of what we're going to be looking at as we look at the computer models right now. So saying goodbye to the storm system, things will begin to improve there as we head into the early afternoon as the snow begins to exit there. We'll see the snows going through West Virginia, and as the upper level feature kind of drags behind that low pressure system and starts to exit off. So by the time we head into tomorrow morning, things not looking too bad. We got some snows out here into Colorado, seeing some snows out there in Utah, but otherwise not looking bad. We just got some frigidly cold temperatures here across a big portion of the country that'll be settling on in there. We will see a little bit of that lake effect snows. You've seen a few of that starting to kick in here across the Great Lakes a little bit. But just bitterly cold temperatures and pretty quiet here going into your Tuesday as we're kind of watching this energy that's kind of sinking here to the south. You see the snows here breaking across New Mexico and into Texas. And then there's going to be that system there later this week as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That'll be going to be causing some problems. Seeing some rain down here near the Brownsville area and a little bit of precipitation here finally returning to the Pacific Northwest with that storm system I just showed you that was well offshore coming into your Tuesday night and into Wednesday morning. So let's look at the jet stream pattern. Of course, that's that river air that kind of drives our systems across the country. We're going to say goodbye to this trough that's moving on through, and then we're going to watch this piece of energy back here. It's this one back here across the southwest that's going to eject out and dump some snows into Texas. And could be pretty substantial by Texas standards, that's for sure, as this moves on in. And then we'll see the cold air just kind of reinforcing shock coming in here with the colder air here kind of diving down here into the middle of the country. And we're going to watch this kind of move on through. Now, the cold air is going to move into the southeast once again. We're going into this weekend, some bitterly cold temperatures. And the trend is really kind of keeping this in place. One thing that's interesting, I just want to point out, is you've got this very amplified jet stream. In other words, you're not seeing very sharp troughs in there. So you really can't get any big storm systems, but you're definitely tapping cold air and kind of letting it settle down here across the eastern 2/3 of the country as we go into this upcoming weekend. And then as we go ahead and go forward with this, we'll watch another little storm system come in here toward the middle of the country as we head out toward Wednesday of next week. You notice we've got a big ridge of high pressure out here on the west coast, so that means we're going to shut the storm systems off out there as we kind of bring in the cold air across the eastern third of the United States going in toward the 15th and 16th. And then that high breaks down, then we'll see another cold shot. This one will be kind of sinking in here toward the west here a little bit as you see that going on. And generally just going to see the cold air just kind of sit across a big part of the country. So, but again, a very elongated path through here. So again, not going to see any big storm systems, but just cold, and not going to see the really propagation of storm systems. So below normal precipitation for the most part for parts of the country. So let's go ahead and take a look at this storm system again. We're saying goodbye to this one. This moves on offshore. And then we're going to watch the development of that next system coming into Texas. This is the one we're going to watch here as we're going to watch this energy here across the four corners kind of diving in here. And then we're going to see, again, some of this winter weather break out into Texas as we go into your Thursday. So here comes the snow. Here it comes, boom, going into Thursday. You can see that picking up right through there with some of the snow. And then obviously we got sleet, freezing rain in there, which is always very nasty to deal with depending on the depth of that cold air. And that'll be moving off toward the east, and this will be bringing in precipitation and mixed precipitation in northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, getting into North Georgia there as well. Looks like some pretty decent snows falling across portions of Tennessee as we head toward Friday, as this model has gotten a little bit warmer here. So it looks like areas there in Alabama and Georgia not looking as bad as they were looking here on previous runs. And then this moves on out, and then we'll say goodbye to that system here going into Saturday. Then we're going to see another cold shot come down. We'll see some snows here across the Great Lakes as we head into your Sunday and Monday. So going into the 12th and 13th, going in for that system there. And that'll go in across the Great Lakes. Obviously, the lake effect will be kicking in there as well. And then we'll see another potential for some more winter weather here coming into the deep south going into Wednesday of next week. You're seeing the snows here across areas of Arkansas, going into Alabama and Georgia and back toward Texas. So again, these are areas that don't normally see winter precipitation. So we got a couple of opportunities here as we go through the next 10 days with that. Now, beyond the 10 days, we're going to kind of extrapolate this a little bit. This will kind of move on out off the sea. But it looks like the overall trend here as we go deeper into January is we're going to pretty much keep the cold air in place here. I'm not seeing any real big changes here. Let me draw that freezing line for you. It's really kind of taking a pretty good large part of the country, seeing kind of cold. And then we see yet another southern winter storm here potential going into Texas, going in toward the 20th of January. So looks like right now in the European, the trend is no really super big storm systems. There's smaller ones that are kind of tracking across the southern tier. And we're going to look at that winter weather potential for some areas here in the deep south, at least a couple of them here over the next 10 days. So as we go ahead and take a look at the precipitation chances here, we'll go for the next 72 hours here initially here, as we'll take you right on up into this upcoming Thursday. So you kind of see right there, we get a little bit of this rain and precipitation here across the southeast. That'll be clearing out from this morning. Obviously, this is some of that precipitation we're seeing right now there. And then we got some intermountain snows out here into the west. Going beyond that, we're going out to the 240 mark, out to about 10 days there. So really, like I said, for the most part, outside of Texas, seeing some decent rains down here to the south, these are pretty low from coast to coast as far as precipitation totals. Really kind of low. Obviously, a little elevated here across the Great Lakes with some of that lake effect and that cold temperatures moving in there. But pretty dry, especially across the southwestern portion of the United States. California looking dry here over the next 10 days. Now, as far as snow totals go, let's go ahead and take a look at this. Again, we got the big story here is we're going to be watching the rest of the snows that are falling here across Ohio and into areas of West Virginia and Virginia there with that heavy snow with that exiting storm system from today. And then we're going to watch what happens here going into this upcoming weekend, going into Thursday and Friday, as we watch the snows there erupt across areas of Oklahoma, Texas getting in there, and it looks like upwards of 6 to 8 inches in that pink zones there across Texas as well, going into this upcoming weekend. So let's kind of check in some of these totals here. I'm going to go east here first. And again, you're looking at areas here, looking at, looks like 8 to 10 inches here at some of the brighter bands there across West Virginia and into North Virginia there. So some pretty hefty snows there. And then if we look at the South Central, we're looking back here again, getting near the Dallas area, also looking at potential up 6 to 8 inches possibly in there. Now, this is backed off a little bit from what was showing from yesterday's run. But again, a pretty large area there seeing snow. Getting into portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and going into parts of Arkansas there. So let me go ahead and pull back out here to the continental United States. I'll take this out to 240 once again. I'll take Don out of here so you can kind of see that we're definitely in a snowy pattern. Here's some more snow falling on top of what we're expecting here going into next week. But definitely a snowy pattern, not overly heavy, obviously because the precipitation amounts are not over the top. We're just looking at a very cold Arctic air mass that's going to be settling in here across a big portion of the country. And this is reflected in those below normal temperatures. I mean, the anomaly map here pretty much keeps a large part of the country here with below normal temperatures. So we're going to see this kind of continue here for this upcoming week, especially here across basically the eastern two-thirds of the country. Just some very bitterly cold temperatures kind of sitting in here across a big part of the country. And as we go into this week here, pretty much stays that way. Now, we're going to modify this a little bit. So a little bit above normal here across areas to the north. Obviously, you got that winter storm brewing down here in Texas. You obviously see temperatures running almost 30 degrees below normal down there across Texas, that winter storm kicking out there on Thursday and Friday. And then as we go in toward this upcoming week, it looks like the southeast stays definitely cold going into this upcoming weekend. A brief, milder weather, seasonally adjusted here, obviously, for areas up there across the high plains and into Minnesota and Wisconsin. Now, as we go into next week, we got another shock coming on down there going into Tuesday. So, again, look at it Tuesday next week. I mean, we've got a lot of blue and green on this map here, covering a big part of the country, looking with below normal temperatures going in toward the 14th of next week. And kind of taking this all the way out here. Again, look at the trend here. This goes down to the 18th again. Look at these readings here. We're looking at 20 to 30 degree below temperatures once again in this area. So what this is telling me, the areas that are getting snow on the ground, the snow's going to kind of stay there and not melt off that much. And also that can help also keep the temperatures very cold, because when snow is on the ground, you get Arctic air over the top of it. That brings it down even colder. So I think we're going to see some of that influence here over the next couple of weeks. That was one thing that was lacking earlier. We're not going to have that now, especially after the most recent winter storm. And as I take this all the way out, again, going all the way out to the 20th, look how much of the country here is looking at below normal temperatures. Obviously above normal there up into Canada, but as far as the continental United States is concerned, a lot of it is going to be looking at below normal temperatures. So let's see what the Climate Prediction Center is showing here based off what we're seeing off the European model. I don't think it's going to change all that much. Obviously, slightly above normal here across the high plains. That was being reflected in the models there. Again, this is the 6 to 10 day outlook from January 11th to the 15th. Below normal here across the southeast. Doesn't really change that much. Seeing above normal here across the high plains. A lot of the country looking at below normal temperatures here as we go in from January 13th to the 19th. Precipitation-wise, this is lacking. I see it here. Obviously, the West Coast, that big ridge out there, definitely going to be drier out there into California. We showed you that on the 6 to 10 day outlook there on the precipitation. Definitely was showing that as I went out to 240 hours. A little bit above here and clear across the high plains and the East Coast, and really kind of dry here across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and pocket out here in the west. A little bit above here across the Intermountain region coming out into the plains. Obviously, a couple of those storm systems there in Texas long range showing up will keep their precipitation up as well. So we've got very cold air to watch. The big story here for the next couple of weeks is just kind of tracking the progress of where these winter storms are going to set up. It's going to make for some interesting forecast challenges, especially when you're getting snow to fall in areas that don't normally see it, because the depth of the cold air is so important. Are you going to see snow? Are you going to see freezing rain? Is there going to be a sleet event? That can all change depending on the exact track of any of the potential low pressure storm systems. So the one coming up for later this week, I have to watch the track on that. And then of course the one going into next week, same thing applies. So any adjustment, deviation in that track can be everything from whether you're going to see rain or whether you're going to see snow. So if you'd like to get updates on these storm systems as we progress deeper into winter, and you'd like to make this part of your official YouTube feed, please do me the honor and pleasure right now. Please subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and hit that notification bell if you can, and give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. It does help with the YouTube algorithm here as we try to continue to grow the channel. All right, that's your update for now. You guys take it easy, be good, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next update. Bye, guys.